Plant Talk with Dave Decock is on the air here on KFGO. Plant Talk with Dave Decock is brought to you by Thompson Greenery, Strand Ace Hardware, Buffalo River Sales, Chisholm Trail Farm, the Garden of Healing, and Jeans, the Right Plant Place. And Dave, welcome back to the KFGO studio. Good to see you.
Well, it's great to be here.
Someone says, my oak tree is covered with lots of red ants. Are they causing damage? Should I get rid of them with chemicals? Will it hurt the tree?
I guess I don't know why they would be there. The only reason I can think they might be there, and I'm not sure, is that it's common for ants to climb up in trees if there's a lot of aphids in the trees. And the reason they go up there is the aphids, when they suck sap out of the leaves or wherever they suck the sap, they give off a honeydew solution. And when they do, of course, the ants go up there for that. It's a sugar solution. If you ever parked under a tree and you came out and your car is all sticky, it's because the aphids are up there feeding, and when they do, they secrete the honeydew and it drips down on the sidewalk, the cars, all over. Now, that would be the only reason I would think they would be up there. And if that's the case, then don't worry about it because they're not causing any damage.
Right. So don't need to worry about the red ants. They're not going to cause damage to the tree.
As far as I know now, it could be, but from what
Are we still putting that ring of goop around trees anymore?
I haven't seen anybody put that in a long time.
Yeah.
That was for the cankerworms.
And that was, I feel like every tree on my block had that for a long time.
Right, yeah, and there hasn't been a bad outbreak of them in quite a while. I think that's why it's been sort of went by the wayside. But, the female cankerworm can't fly. So they would climb up the tree to lay their eggs. And, of course, they'd put the tanglefoot on this band. They'd get that far up, they'd get stuck in the tanglefoot, and they would just stay there and die.
Yeah.
That was the logic of that.
And then I would touch it as a kid, and I would regret it for a long time.
Sticky
yeah, exactly.
All stuck to everything.
Let's see. Another question here at 35270 says, last year I had a raised bed herb garden and tomato and pepper plants. Japanese beetles ate everything. This year I planted all flowers, and they came back and have been eating everything, especially the cannas. They've never eaten my flowers before. How do I get rid of them?
Well, I would try something that chemicals would work. I mean, chemicals would work on it, but there is the spinosad, which I've talked about before, which is an organic insecticide. So if you don't want to use a chemical, you can use spinosad, and that should do the job on them. That's what I would do. And I would assume that they probably overwintered there because there was probably debris there from the last year where they overwintered.
Oh, okay.
So clean it up really good this fall when the flowers are gone. Get them all out and clean up the area so there's no residue for them to overwinter in.
Okay, so when you talk clean it up, you're talking about make sure all the leaves and everything that could be in that bed?
As much as you can.
Okay.
As much as you can. You can't get every leaf, but...
Is there any benefit when I am cleaning up my flower garden and my vegetable garden to do any tilling in the fall versus, waiting until the spring?
I don't know if there would be unless you wanted to work some organic matter in or something. That would be the only reason I would think about doing that.
Okay. Let's get to the phone lines here. Amy, who we got on the phone?
Bruce is on the phone for it, yeah.
Hi, Bruce.
Hey, guys. I have a new yard, and we have an unbelievable crop of goosegrass.
Okay.
What is the trick to kill this?
Now, is it in your lawn?
It's in the lawn, and it's a lot of it, and we've been digging it. We bought one of these things at Menards where you push it in,
right,
and you twist it, and when you twist it, you get a whole bunch of roots. And
right.
So we're definitely aerating our yard as we're digging out thousands of goosegrass plants.
Now,
what's the big cure?
I'm not familiar with. I've heard the name goosegrass, but I'm not sure. Is it an annual or is it a perennial?
Yeah, I can't tell you that yet. This is the first year we've had a yard at this house.
That would be. That's what I would check on that. If it's an annual, of course, you can put the crabgrass killer on in the spring, and hopefully that would take care of the germinating seeds. If it's an annual, if it's a perennial, then I'm not sure how you'd get it out because it would be a lot like quackgrass. If it's a perennial and it's in a lawn, very difficult to get rid of grasses in the lawn without getting rid of the grass too.
You bet. And so what is it? What it grows out and it's just flat. And so it looks like crackgrass, but it's just like a flat.
It lays fairly flat and got a million seeds.
Well, we don't see a lot of seeds, but it's flat, boy. It's crazy. So just keep digging it out for now.
Well, that I would look up first and see if it's an annual, if it's a perennial. If it's a perennial and comes back from root each year, then it's going to be difficult. If it's an annual, then you can use something like a crabgrass killer in the spring that kills germinating seeds.
Okay.
That's how we keep the crabgrass under control.
Dave, I looked this up real quick. It's also known as wiregrass or crowfoot grass. It says herbicides and tillage are used in the control. This low-growing grass is capable of setting seed even when closely mown. Some populations have evolved resistance to certain herbicides, including glyphosate.
Ooh, boy.
And so there's a thing in here. They said its seeds germinate later in the spring. Mostly other temperate zone weeds such as crabgrass are similar. Though usually considered an annual, it may survive for more than a year in climates not subject to frost. So, Bruce, it sounds like that first frost might be your best buddy in taking care of this for the year, at least for you.
Right, and then next spring use a crabgrass killer, probably mid-May. And when the seeds start to germinate, the crabgrass killer will take them out.
Okay, that's good to hear. Thank you so much.
I can't imagine where you got it from unless it was in the seed you planted.
Well, it could be because I've seen a lot of neighborhood yards. It was hydroseeded, and in our area, there's a lot of it.
Well, it may have been in the grass mixture because I wasn't familiar with it. I've heard of it, but I wasn't familiar with it. And I planted grass, and I've never had any of it show up. So it could have been in the seed that they used.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Sure. Anytime, Bruce. Talk to you again.
Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Dave, does that happen where like a particular, like brand or something, wherever they're growing it, we can end up getting an invasive species from them because of
it's
planting like that?
It's possible.
Wow.
I don't know what brand it would be. I know most like Shields, they get some local
right
here. So I don't think it'd be a problem, but it's not something which typically would overwinter here. So it's unusual to plant a new lawn to have a lot of it in there if it didn't come in with the seed.
This is purely anecdotal, but grass seed costs a lot of money, right?
It does.
So maybe if there was a group that was looking for the cheapest deal, you got the cheapest deal, but just like old things, there's some filler in it, right?
It could be,
Okay, let's go back to the phone lines. Rob is on the line for you, Dave.
Hi, Rob.
Early in the season for this question, I realized, but what's the best way to prepare a lawn to disinvite voles come the fall?
Well, there are some things, I believe I've heard there's some things you can put down in the fall, late fall, that gives off an odor that keeps the voles out. I'm not sure. But people used to cut think, cut our grass real short in the fall. The voles aren't as likely to be a problem. That's true, but you also run a risk if it's a real open, cold winter. You could have some fatalities with the grass.
Right.
So I think there is something. I would do a search for that and see if there is something you can put down. I think it's some kind of pelleted material you can put down that gives off an odor that the voles don't like and they tend to stay away.
Okay.
I would check into. I think I've heard of something like that. I don't know what the name is, but you should. Yeah, sounds great. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines again. Craig is on the line for you.
Hi, Craig.
Hi. We planted a Chinese elm in our flower bed. Well, we didn't plant it. We thought it was a flower.
Right.
And then we thought it would bloom, but it's never bloomed, and it's going on probably 7-8 years. If I cut that out, it's got a big root on it now. So if I cut it below the ground, will that keep growing?
It'll probably come back. What you could do is you could cut it off at ground level, and if you've got some dandelion chemical for controlling dandelions or some Roundup, when you cut it off, just paint that on there generously on that cut stump, and a lot of times that will be absorbed down in and kill it.
Okay.
But you the roots would die too then.
Okay.
That's what
All right.
and just keep after it. If it doesn't kill it and it comes up again, cut them off and paint them again. But
Okay.
you certainly don't want that thing there.
Yeah. I finally figured that out. Yeah. So if I cut it below ground and paint
No. Cut it above ground, just above
Okay.
ground, maybe an inch or two above the ground, and then just liberally paint that stuff or pour that stuff on that fresh cut surface so it gets absorbed in.
Okay. All right.
Sounds great. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Craig. Thanks for the call. Next up is Jean.
Hi, Gene.
Hi, Dave. Say, what do you do about grasshoppers? You've got such a problem with them. Do you know of any solution?
Ooh, boy.
They're eating everything up.
Yeah, I know. What they used to do, they used to put a fairly heavy dose of some kind of a boundary spray out around the garden so that they would get in that first. It would kill them. But beyond that, I know that there's ortho product for crickets and that kind of stuff, but I'm not sure that would work. It's a home defense kind of thing, but you could do a search and see what it recommends for grasshoppers. But I think some kind of a boundary spray is what you'd want. A little heavier dose around, so when they come in, they're getting that first. And hopefully that.
This is a very small garden up by the garage, but they're just all over. But the thing is, would something like Raid work? Would that be okay?
I doubt it. I think you'd need something a little stronger than that.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy cow!
Because grasshoppers, they're pretty good size and pretty healthy critters, so they don't just.
I get out there with a fly swatter, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, good luck with the fly swatter.
And then some boundary spray, you say?
Yeah, it's called a boundary spray because it's a heavier dose than you typically would use in a garden.
Okay.
So if you
have to be careful with it, though, so that birds don't get in it.
Well, no, it's basically so that it's stronger, and when they get in that area, they're more likely to be killed by it because it's a dose that's stronger than you would typically use in a garden. But the chemicals that you get for it, it'll talk about a boundary spray, and what that is, that's going a few feet out all the way around your garden, so that when the grasshoppers get there, they make contact with it, and it'll kill them.
Okay. All right, Dave. Thank you very much.
Sure. Anytime. Bye-bye.
Hey, Dave, why do my Japanese lilacs, they don't bloom, they haven't bloomed in 3 years, this person says, and when should they be trimmed?
Well, with lilacs, the trimming of them would be about the same as trimming the typical lilac shrubs. If you had been getting flowers every year and you want to get flowers the next year, you prune after they flower. But if you're not getting flowers, then you can prune in the spring. It's just if you prune in the spring, you know you wouldn't get any flowers that year. That's the reason we prune after they flower. So it's up to you. You know, if you prune now, you probably won't. It's late enough. You may not get flowers next year. But
Okay.
if you haven't had them for 3 years, maybe it doesn't matter. But I have no idea why they wouldn't flower. Typically, they do flower. The only thing that prevents things from flowering or makes them less likely to flower is if they're vigorously growing and there's plenty of nitrogen there and they're doing a lot of vegetative growth. Vegetative growth is sort of negative of flowering. So putting them under stress is more likely to make them flower. So if you are watering them and fertilizing, certainly stop doing that. Put them under a little stress and see if that brings flowers out for next year.
Okay, let's get to Jim quick before we take a break here. Jim, you are on with Dave.
Hi, Jim.
Hey, Dave. I've had this, I don't know what kind of tree it is. It has dark red leaves. I've lived there 35 years, and now a couple branches have died on it.
Right.
And now the tree is oozing all kinds of sap. Is there something is it dying, or I don't know where the sap came from. I've never seen that much sap come out of a tree.
Is it from areas that are dead, or is it just out of the sap all over, out of the bark all over?
It's coming down the main trunk of the tree.
Okay, does it come from where there's a wound, or doesn't it?
No.
Just oozing out of the bark.
What's that?
It's just oozing out of the bark.
Yeah.
Now I don't know without knowing for sure what the tree is. I'm not sure, but with plums have a condition called gummosis, and what happens is that the bark will get cracks in the bark, and they'll actually ooze sap out. And when they do, it's certainly not a good result from it. So I'm not sure what would be causing it to ooze the sap out. Maybe if you knew what kind of tree, it might help. But the only experience I've had with that is, like I said, I've seen plum trees. And usually when they do that, they decline.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening because the branches are kind of dying one by one.
Yeah, if you could take a sample into somebody that could identify it, a nursery or an extension office or wherever, find out what it is, and then they probably could tell you. But the only time I've seen this happen is like plum trees or something in the plum family.
Okay. Sounds
Okay,
good. Thank
sure.
you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Dave, someone said fern peony south side of garage slowly dying. Clay soil and water only when no rain and it gets dry. What is the problem? Planted last fall and this is all it's growing.
Well, I've got one I got from my daughter this spring, and it's not doing too great either. And I haven't overwatered mine, but I know when I got mine, the root system wasn't too great on it. A lot of times what happens is with them, they're very expensive. So when they divide them up, they try and get as little as root as they can, because the smaller the root, the more divisions you can get from one plant when you divide it. So that may have something to do with it, because I know mine is declining too. But don't overwater it, and basically see what happens. It's hard to say. I don't know what's going to happen with mine. It looks pretty shaky.
You're in the same position.
I'm in the same position.
Yeah.
I've had them before too, and that they're not near like the regular peonies. They seem to grow through anything, but the fernleaf peonies are really touchy.
Someone said they have a hydrangea bush that doesn't bloom anymore. What can they do to get it to bloom, Dave?
Well, with that, the only thing I know that might help is, as I mentioned before, if there's a lot of fertilizer and they're growing vigorously, they're not nearly as likely to flower as they would otherwise. So if anything you can do to stress, it's going to help with flowering.
Okay. Let's get to another question here at 35270. Dave, Saturday, one of my elms broke a giant branch, thankfully a boulevard elm. The tree guy from the city said the elm is healthy and not hollow. It now has a huge hole where the branch was, big enough to fit an owl. Will the tree heal itself? My gutters that it hit, not so much.
Well, I would guess if the city came out and if they took away the bad one, my guess is that they probably did a good job of cleaning up the wound.
Yeah.
That would be my guess, because typically what happens when they split, sometimes they'll tear the bark down the side too if they split and they break off. Now, if they did that, usually they heal themselves up, but the more ragged the wound is, the more likely it is to be a problem. But if they came in and with a saw and made a nice clean cut there won't be a problem. It'll heal itself up fine.
Sure. I've got grass that is slowly kind of coming back alive again, but it's really only where my tree shades the backyard. The stuff that has been sitting in the sun all summer really isn't coming back at all.
That's normal. Mine are the same.
That's normal? Okay.
Mine are the same way. And when we do get a drought, bluegrass goes into a dormancy. And with the dormancy, the leaves and stuff die, but the crown stays alive. And the crown can stay alive much longer than the leaves of the grass itself. So if we continue to get little rains like we've been getting lately, it will come back. But where it's shaded, of course, it isn't as baked as it is out in the sun, and that's why the areas out in the sun are browner. Mine are the same way. Under my apple trees and stuff, the grass is actually growing. It's much greener than that areas where it's out in the full sun. So that's pretty normal. But I would expect the grass will come back when we get towards fall and we get more rainfall.
It's Plant Talk with Dave Decock. Dave, let's go to the phone lines. Mary is on the line for you.
Hi, Mary.
Yes, Mary. Oh, yeah, it's Mary.
Okay.
Hi, Jack. Anyway, I have I had my apple trees all pruned before they
right, before they leafed out,
blossomed this spring or anything this spring, and now there's lots and lots of those straight up suckers.
Right.
Can they be pruned when I still know what they are?
Well,
I have one tree that's early, and I have a hard time telling what I can prune on that tree.
Well, usually that's not a problem because, they grow straight up and there's a lot of growth and they're actually a little bit of a different color than a normal branch would be. So look at them and see they're kind of a different reddish color. And next spring when it's time to prune, you'll be able to pick them out because they'll stand right out, the color, and they're straight up and down. So I have a lot on mine too because I keep mine pruned pretty well. And I wait till spring and I cut them out. But they're pretty easy to see because you walk out there and you see all these long stretched out little branches, and they are the new growth from this year. So I would wait till spring to do that. Do it the same time it was done this year.
Okay.
All right?
Then I wasn't able to do my garden this year, and man, it just got really awful with weeds and stuff. Do you have any suggestions for that?
Well, you could certainly use something like Roundup on it. The other thing is if you got weeds coming up and they're seeding, make sure that you keep mowed so they don't get a chance to do seeding. If they seed out, of course, it's going to make the problem so much worse. But a lot of the weeds, if you keep mowed down, the height of the lawn, they don't seed. So that would be a benefit from that aspect. But you could also, if they're grassy weeds, you could use Roundup on them. And if you're going to spray, wait until after we get a good rain so that they're actively growing. Because for spraying, if the weeds aren't actively growing, the spray doesn't do much good.
Okie dokie.
But you don't want the bugger seeding out. You want to keep that from happening.
Yes, exactly. I think I'm too late on that, but
anyway, get what you can. Put a bag on your mower and mow them, and hopefully you'll get a lot of the seeds in the bag.
Yep. All right, thank you.
Bye-bye, Mary.
Thanks for the call. Someone says, will this drought affect my spring bulbs? Thoughts on that, Dave?
I wouldn't think so. Because they would have, they died down quite a while back. If they're really planted, they would have died down much earlier than this, before it was so dry. And they basically just lay there till fall, and then they take off, and then they grow again. So I don't think that should be a problem. I would guess they'll be fine again next spring.
Okay, sounds good. Dave, thanks for another great edition of Plant Talk here on KFGO.
Sounds
Appreciate
great. We'll
it.
see you guys next week.
Sounds good. You can listen to Plant Talk live every Thursday during the growing season here on KFGO. Plant Talk with Dave Decock is brought to you by Thompson Greenery, Strand Ace Hardware, Buffalo River Sales, Chisholm Trail Farm, The Garden of Healing, and Jean's The Right Plant Place.